Hello and welcome to Rich in Relationship. And today we are meeting with Lesley Friedland, who is a personal friend and also an absolute inspiration to me. She is or was a family law attorney and mediator. She still is an attorney and mediator, but more important, she is the founder and executive director of FamilyKind. And she got into founding FamilyKind out of her vast experience as attorney and referee for the New York City family court system. How are you today, Lesley?
Just fine, Rich. And I just want to say it's so nice to be spending some time with you. I'm so happy to have met you, and I too am inspired by you.
Oh, thank you. And it's actually, it's so funny. It is currently coronavirus time, and this seems to be the only way people meet anymore. So
It's true. It's true. So
we're all on self-quarantine, which
right.
is probably a good thing. I mean, I go back and forth from being cynical about it to appreciating it. So
Right.
Lesley, tell us about what inspired you to start FamilyKind, because it's not like people just wake up and go, oh, I think I'll start a not-for-profit, and they have space in their life to do that. It just doesn't happen that way.
That's right, Rich. In fact, and my whole life, I mean, I did not expect to start a not-for-profit. It's not something that I had dreamed of doing. In fact, I was working in the family court very happily for many years. I worked in the court for about 25 years, 16 of which were part-time as I was raising my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I was grateful for that opportunity to be in the court and also be at home. And at that time, right, I was a court attorney. That's an assistant to a judge and a referee for part of the time. And I enjoyed being in the public sector. That's what I always wanted to do, working with people.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my time there, I was overseeing some supportive services that the court was offering. And that was parent education for divorcing and separating parents and mediation. And I saw the value of these programs. I saw how important it was for parents to get that kind of help while being in court, whether they're in court or not, but while they were divorcing and separating.
Mm-hmm.
So then the financial crisis happened, the one just prior to this one, in around 2008 and 9. And many of the great services for families were really eliminated.
Uh-huh.
And I went back into the courtroom hearing cases, and I really felt at a loss because I felt parents weren't getting everything that they needed, and the courtroom could only do so much. So at that time, I really had to find a different way to serve people because I didn't find my work as meaningful as it was. So I was really my family and friends who said, well, what is your passion? What is most important to you? And it was really helping support healthy families. So I reached out to many of my colleagues with whom I had worked, and they said, yes, we will help you sort of bring these services to the public. And I really wanted to form as a non-for-profit because I feel people with and without money should definitely.
No, there is a tremendous need out there for services. People who, so many people who of wealth are living hand to mouth. There's something in our culture that seems to encourage that. But then there are people who just aren't making enough. And then they decide to get divorced, and their not enough is now being split into two families. So yeah, huge, huge need.
Exactly. So we want to make sure we really offer high quality services to people at a sliding fee scale to make sure that everyone would have access to them.
Mm-hmm. And so that is actually an amazing story. And before I ask you, it's always amazing to me, actually, I've heard it before, true confession. I've heard it before, but it is always amazing to me when I hear it, because I think so many of us go through life seeing that there's need and just going, wow, I hope somebody is, I walk my dogs out in the dog park, and so you see a pile of poop and you think, oh, I hope somebody picks that poop up, and like there you are with a bag, right? So there you were seeing this need and you were inspired by it. And what were the circumstances that I mean, how did you do it? How did you unhook from what you were doing? What was the transition? In case there's somebody out there who's seeing that poop in the dog park.
Right. So, and that's a great question because I had a really nice settled life. I had a good income, working for the court. My kids were doing well. They were in like middle school and high school at that time. I had a supportive husband. But so I had to shake everything up, which was really very difficult because I had to give up my salary for a long time and really venture into uncharted territory. And this is the thing. I knew what needed to be done, but I'm not a businesswoman. I didn't even have a business card at the court. I didn't need one. The people who needed help were all there already.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big leap, but really I am so touched by the people who have helped along the way. Specialists in each and every area, my friends who were supporting me, my family who said, you know what, go for it, we will help you, we'll be there. And for people like you, Rich, actually, because along the way, being inspired, making connections, seeing people doing really good work and offering their help. So it truly is a team effort. Truly.
It sounds like you saw this need and you started to have conversations about it, like something needs to happen. And your friends, it sounds like the people, and I was thinking about this today, about how there's in every social group and every culture, there's sort of a cultural drift, right? And the drift sort of takes us in a certain direction. And it sounds like, though, that because you were working with people who were really committed to the family court system, that the drift there sort of supported what you were doing. Like, and I think very typically in life, what happens is we say we want to do something good, and the drift says, no, you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you need to focus on yourself. But what I'm hearing is that you brought this up, started a conversation about it, and people really got behind you with it.
Right. So, and I'm glad we're talking about this because if anyone's listening and feeling that they want to try something new, it really can be done, because this was definitely out of my comfort zone. But it was really a combination of two things, Rich. It was feeling frustrated with what was happening in the family court, services not being able to be offered, and not feeling that I could do my job the best way. So I had that sort of comfort. And then my friends and family, being there. I mean, actually, my friend said to me, when I was expressing my upset, like, you can leave your job. And really, I said, what? I mean, that never occurred to me. So it was like, well, yes, you can. And that was true. And then, but what did I want to do? Because I knew this is like having another child, right? You had to put everything in. And so it was a combination of two things. It wasn't, taken lightly, like, oh, I want to try something new. It really was, I needed to do it. And there were all these people who really wanted to be there on the journey as well.
Awesome. Well, so, and I'm sorry if I drag that out a little, but I've always really wanted to understand personally how someone makes that leap from seeing a need to really going all in the way you have. So let's talk about what's more important. So the sort of the theme of Rich in Relationship is helping people in relationship to benefit from conflict instead of getting stuck in it. And what I know about FamilyKind is that FamilyKind offers an array of services that really help people in this regard. So tell us all about FamilyKind and what it does, please.
So thank you. And that's one of the many reasons why I admire you, Rich. First, I love Rich in Relationship because that sort of is what it's all about,
Thank you.
And how do we make it happen? Because when people, get together originally, there are reasons for it. But when they're parents and they're no longer sort of bonded in that sort of emotional way.
That being in love thing wears out, and all of a sudden the life gets very real.
Exactly. And they decide to have their family transition, divorce, separate. It's such a big decision, but they are linked together for the rest of their children's lives. So their relationship has changed, but they're always going to be in the relationship. Yeah. So how do you make it the best and healthiest way possible and for your children? And so that's sort of at the crux of what we do. We have two missions. One, to provide an array of services around communication, education, all of that, on a sliding fee scale, so they're affordable. But our second mission is also to change the culture around how we see divorce and separation, sort of getting it out of the shadows. People who are divorcing and separating deserve and need help. And in our society, we do not offer it. In fact, there's still stigma around it, which makes it harder for the family to transition in a healthier way.
I think the stigma around divorce, I was talking about this with another professional the other day, I think it's actually worse than being an alcoholic or a drug addict now. It's like, if you're an alcoholic and drug addict, you go to a 12-step program, you clean up your life and everything's good. But if you're divorced, dun, 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 other people might catch it. You know, the friends have to decide who they're going to support. I mean, it's actually kind of amazing that still, even though half the population pretty much does it, that there's still some stigma around it. And you provide, what are just a quick list of services that you provide? I know you have the parent education piece. And
right. So at the heart of what we do is parent education, because in most states around this country, when you get divorced or separated, you have to go to a class. It makes so much sense because when you're experiencing this, you are at pretty much your low, as you touched on. You're losing maybe half of your friends, your family. You're feeling terrible. You're worried about your children. And no, let's face it, when you're growing up, you think about a lot of things like, what am I going to do professionally? Who might I want to partner with? Where I might want to live? But I guarantee you don't spend much time on how am I going to get the best divorce ever, right? So no,
you're mostly trying to get it over with.
Exactly. So having information is empowering. So we give these classes, and in fact, we're part of a movement to try to make sure all divorcing parents get access to classes in our state. Because right now, I assure you, when people go out for coffee and they share one's getting divorced, they're not saying, did you go to your class yet? And Rich, I'm so proud that you're one of our educators in our class.
It's an honor to serve.
Well, it's, I think, such an empowering thing for parents and great for us to be able to share that service, skills and strategies, trying to understand what your kids are going through, understanding the legal process. And just to be clear, we are lawyers, mediators, and educators. We're also mental health professionals, but we do not practice any law at FamilyKind or give therapy. It's about support and education.
And how can people find FamilyKind? Really important.
Yeah, so we have a website, and it is FamilyKind.org. And we have all of our services there. And just a little note, because I know you were interested in how we got started. One of the many helping people was a mom I knew in the neighborhood, and she just started her own business, graphic design and website. And she said, I love your vision. I'm going to work with you and get you started at a very low cost.
So sweet.
She did all our branding. Recently, she did become ill and she's doing fine now, but we have some other wonderful webmasters who say, we're going to give you a reduced rate to help you get your message out and do excellent work. So just little team people coming together wanting to do the right thing.
What are some other ways that FamilyKind is seeking to educate people in the future?
Right.
Is that coronavirus appropriate?
I know. Well, we are really excited because in April, we're starting a webinar series. Because after our classes, people say, I want more. You know, they've made these connections. They're understanding the value. So, we're starting that on the first Monday in April, April 6th in the evening, and you'll be able to get all that information.
That's all on the website, yeah?
On the website. And I would say we send out mailings. I do a bi-weekly news roundup. So just different interesting articles from around the world having to do with marriage, divorce, all of that. But the best way for you to really, for a person to know what's going on is to sign up for our newsletter. And you could do that easily on our website as well.
Excellent. Excellent. And one of the things that I've always loved about FamilyKind, and I found out about this after I got inspired by you and started becoming a supporter, was also that FamilyKind is positioning itself and always has positioned itself as a thought leader in the area of parenting and divorce. What new initiatives has FamilyKind got going in terms of being a thought leader?
Right. And thank you. That's the thing. We try not to repeat what other groups are doing, because if there are people doing good stuff in other arenas, that's great. So we try to figure out what's needed. So one new initiative we have is a group, and we call it Adult Children of Divorce. And Rich, you were in on the beginning of it, and it's an incredible group of people who've come together and say, we need to bring attention to adults whose parents got divorced.
Let me be devil's advocate. You know, those kids are grown up. They've got lives. What do they matter? It's not like they're like they're in school or they're working. Come on.
Right.
They got skills.
So, that's what I thought. I didn't realize the important need, because we think of the young children so much. But what I'm learning, and it's so important, and what we need to let other people know, that actually people who are teenage or young adults, or adults, divorce hits them very, very hard. And it makes a lot of sense why it does. When you are becoming a young adult yourself, you need all the support from your parents as possible. And when they are turning their lives upside down, it impacts you greatly. It impacts how you pursue your education. Sometimes people say, oh, I'll wait till the kids go to college before we tell them. Then the kids coming home to two different homes, they're looking, what was my childhood a lie? I mean, what was going on? I'm trying to now couple. How do I see myself? Were they just play actors? So there are so many important issues, and that they deserve help to work through.
Yeah, from what I've read as a result of my limited involvement in that group, the sort of the group that's founding this movement, also it's that young adults, cognitively, where they are is their internal image of their mother and father is sort of congealing, like it's hardening. And so they've got this idea of themselves that's based on that and who they are in the world and how they're going to relate to people in the world. And all of a sudden that gets shattered. And because they're not 6, they're not as fluid and learning as quickly. You know, actually their brains are actually harder than they were when they were younger. And it's actually harder for young adults to reform that self-image based on their parents' behavior, based on this new information. And also, there's the never-ending problem of putting children in the middle, which is a risk at any age. My understanding is that FamilyKind has some groups for adult children, or will be having.
Yes, yep. We're launching a group at the 92nd Street Y in Manhattan, and it will start in April. So that's really exciting. Again, find information on our website where you can register. It's being run by 2 really amazing psychologists who are very well versed in this area. And it's another way that we want to give back and say, you deserve the support.
Excellent.
Yes. We also are, continuing with our mediation services, parenting coordination. Sometimes parents are in such high conflict, they need a third party to help them. We're coaching, and Rich, you are one of our coaches, because again, this is so new to most people, and they want to be the best they can, but they don't have the tools to do it. So we help.
Well, and it's that again, it goes back to the thing of almost the drift, right? So there you are, you're 2 people and you're getting divorced, and people are getting divorced because their communication is broken down, and they're getting divorced because Their emotional connection is very fragile, if at all existent. And the drift is to be sort of angry and blaming. And the people around you are supporting you in being angry and blaming. And what coaches and parent coordinators and anyone who works in the divorce field can do is help you break out of that, which is so important for the benefit of the children. Well, all right, so we are at the last seconds here. Let me ask you the question I ask everybody. What if you were looking back from the great beyond, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? The big difference that you would want to have made in the world.
I would like to make sure that, you know, people who are divorcing and separation can easily get the help and support they need so that children could thrive.
So the legacy would be that Lesley Friedland made it. Actually, what I hear is that you made it, because you're looking back, you made it easier for people getting divorced.
That would be professionally, and
yeah.
Personally, that I really, you know, help raise good children.
Yeah, it is all about the kids in the end, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And I just want to say it's truly a team effort. Our staff, our whole team, our board, our advisors, all contribute. So if I have that legacy of professional legacy, it's because of the team.
And what are some ways that people can financially support FamilyKind in the future if they so choose?
Thanks so much for asking, because we run on much volunteer power. We do not have any government grants or anything except one small city council grant, thank you. So we depend on donors. And we have a gala each year. We have a lot of events. Any bit helps, because if you contribute money to FamilyKind, it goes directly into us being able to serve families in need.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Rich.
Have a wonderful day. It is always a pleasure.
All right. Take care, Rich. Thank you.